Charles Brennan broadcasting from St. Louis's newest. People have been talking about this museum for some time. Russ Roberts from the Management Center at Washington University told me, you just got to see this place. My wife Beth got in here somehow about 2-3 months ago. I don't know how. She was just raving about it. And I am really glad and honored right now to talk to the two creative forces who have poured their souls into this old building, which is now a beautiful museum. Bob Casserly, Gail Casserly, thanks for letting us invade the City Museum on KMOX Radio.
Thank you.
Well, if you could get a little closer to that microphone, everyone on the 50,000-watt red-hot KMOX can hear you. Let me ask you, number one, where the heck are we? We're behind some buildings on Washington Street.
Which is basically 5 blocks from the Union Station and 6 blocks from the Convention Center.
So you're right behind some buildings on Washington
One block past Washington, and we're between 15th and 16th Street on Lucas.
You're still working. This is a work in progress right now, but the dinosaurs were on loan from Russia, and they had specific times when they could be here. So you had to have an opening date right now, even though there still might be a few coats of paint to put on before tomorrow or next week or whenever. Am I right?
Oh, there's a lot of things to do, but we're comfortable opening, and we consider this a work in process. And this is just phase one.
Is this a science museum, an arts museum, an architecture museum, a children's museum, or Bob? Just what is this?
Yes.
It's a little bit of everything.
Well, it's one thing about this place. It's anything you want it to be. This place is like a Rorschach test. We won't say. You figure it out.
City Museum hair weaving. Get your hair cut, get your hair woven, wear your hair first. Right now, we're unstanding. Come watch the famous weaver, Keith McLean, human hair into the fiber.
St. Louis's incredible new city museum seems to have sprung up almost overnight. Their brochure says, quote, "City Museum is a place of fun and discovery unlike anything you've seen or heard of before. It's a place of fantasy and wonder, mystery and craft, housed in 3 floors of a landmark downtown building. Imagine," it continues, "coming face to face with a dinosaur. Discover the beauty of a skyline that once was. Explore an underwater world in a downtown building, and create your very own works of art." Bob and Gail Casserly are the creative artists who imagined it, who discovered they could do it, who explored the possibilities, and who created their very own 2.5 football field-sized work of art. The Casserlys are internationally recognized artists, and according to People magazine, quote, "Casserly's reputation has grown as rapidly as his work, which ranges from life-size to freight-size. A good deal of their work is located in and around parts of St. Louis, and now, ironically, they've managed to put parts of St. Louis in and around their latest work." City Museum is located in the exciting Washington Avenue Loft and Entertainment District, and represents the Casserlys' incredible contribution to the effort to revitalize the city's core downtown area. They've turned the old International Shoe Company building near Washington and 15th Street into a warehouse of adventure, and there's nothing else like it in the world. For years, the Casserlys' dream was just waiting for them to come true. It was to create an environment that fosters a sense of wonder and awe in children and adults. Well, now they've created it, and they want everyone to experience it. In fact, they want you to walk through the mouth of a bowhead whale. They dare you to venture behind the whale and explore the caves. They ask you to admire the architecture saved from the wrecking ball. They invite you to visit the Eugene Field toy collection and model train exhibit. They want you to look out over a fish tank, dodge water at the wave cave, join the show at Everyday Circus, make trash into treasure at recycled materials workshops, watch glass blowers and potters, stroll the comical atmosphere of the Museum of Mirth, Mystery, and Mayhem, marvel at the world's biggest windmill, and discover the world's largest traveling dinosaur exhibit, direct from Moscow, albeit for a limited time. Of course, City Museum didn't just spring up overnight. It involved a complicated process which took years of planning and hard work. The program you are about to see documents the final stages of that process. It will show clearly what the Cassellys and their committed team of workers and volunteers had to do to come true for their dream.
Well, actually, this. Well, I don't think we'll ever get that one down. It's right. Well, maybe.
Okay, you want 1/2 inch off both of these then?
Well, yeah, just cut it right in the middle of that bar. By the time you do that, it'll be just right.
So you don't want to burn this off then?
Yeah. So let's just ignore that.
No.
So what I do now is drill. Well, I guess our theory was, like when we started out with the front of the space, we're going to be very conservative and use like traditional materials like granite and stone, and work to make everything very formal. And as we proceed deeper into the place, we'll sort of let some of our let's just go wild a little bit. I think of this place kind of like a Stravinsky symphony, like Petrushka or something. So it's got a sense of balance by balancing opposites. Like, you get balance like walking down railroad tracks by like jumping from track to track, and the balance lies in the middle. So we were going to try and make this thing where we put all these opposites shouldn't work together, but by contrasting all these different forms, we'd form this sort of a dissonant symphony in here. And so then this got to, well, okay, we're being adult and form on the front, and then we'll, go back and recess ourselves into childhood and dreams and things that we just want to do to play. And because we've been so formal in the front, we sort of like earned our right to play in the back. Okay. knees like I kicked it. We started about 2.5 years ago. And we started and stopped. You guys worked on other projects, so it started out to be kind of like a WPA project for the crew. And it sort of, I don't know, got out of control from there. And so about the last 6 months we've been getting serious about getting it done because we can no longer afford to have it be our, private playground.
Probably I should have known that something like this would happen the day my husband said there's this really neat building and we really need to buy it, and it's a chance in a lifetime, and I've waited all my life for something like this. And he dragged me over here, and I wasn't that impressed with the first part I saw. Then he took me to the back building where City Museum's located, opened the door to one of the 60,000 square foot floors that was simply a vacant space filled with gigantic columns and pretty clean concrete floor and nothing else but light pouring in it and nothing else there. And I looked at the space and I fell in love, and he knew I would. And so, of course, I said yes, sign on the dotted line. And although that wasn't the beginning of City Museum, it was the beginning of my knowing that somewhere in that space at some point in time he was probably going to do something very unusual and very unique.
I have this almost pathological problem with starting things before I finish the last thing.
You have multiple projects that you started on that you're jumping from?
Yes.
How many do you have going on right now?
Well, here there's everything. Well, my wife has informed me that we started everything and completing nothing. So if you broke down the projects into individual projects, there would be literally hundreds of them. So I don't know, I'm always hesitant to finish things because I always change my mind halfway through. And also, because we're making this without plans, I feel like I gotta have everything started so I can manipulate things back and forth, and we find all these objects and we incorporate them in. And so it's like, for me, it's like a giant chess game. I have all these knights and pawns and piles of junk, and we use this as raw material. So I've got to see something in front of me, and then if I see that and I want to contrast something off of it, I got to put that up, at least start it, so I can see the whole works. Because every day we come in, there's no plan whatsoever, which is part of the reason we call it City Museum, because it's developed like a city without a plan, so that it also developed naturally. I mean, it's developed for some time for no other reason that we found a neat object. Look at all these compressors and stuff like that, and we've got military hardware that the military probably spent $50,000 to $100,000 on an object. And it's part of our hardware store, so we can make some unusual toy that we never would have made because we couldn't afford it, or we never thought of it. But so you got this weird application.
Bob's always had a close relationship with junk and junk dealers and scavengers and anybody who can make had a bargain. Typically, we didn't have a lot of conversations about many of the things that went up before they went up. And often Bob wouldn't want to tell me what he had planned for the next day because he thought I might nix it. So often I would get there to find pallets and pallets of stuff dropped inside the building, and I typically would say, well, what's that for? He says, well, I've got this great idea. And I'd say, well, but you said you were going to do this. And he said, but this is better, and it's here, so let's do it. And he'd always say, it's free. It's free. It doesn't. They're giving it to us. It's free. Of course, it would then take 6 months, for people's time to install these things. But for Bob, that's free. And I think primarily it was that these materials that were simply in storage, the things that were made were the quality was so outstanding, and they were such beautiful things. And we couldn't afford to go out and to buy or make anything even close to it. with the kind of budget we had. So it was like, let's take these great things and let's make these work for us. And we'll wind up with something better than anybody has because of it. It's our tagline is, to give you an idea, is explore the unexpected. And it's because you don't expect all of these things together. Nobody would sit down and plan out something like City Museum to start with. It wouldn't make any sense. It only made sense because it happened that way, and we'd do one thing and one thing would lead to another, and then another person would come in and say, well, how about this, or I have this, or contact so-and-so, and it just evolved. It really is a work of art. Bob and I are both sculptors. We typically, start with nothing and we make something, and we often don't have a plan, and the work dictates itself. And I think that's the beauty and the fun of anything that's process oriented, that you don't have a finished plan in your mind. The thing becomes itself, and so it literally it takes on a life of its own, and your job then is to ensure that life is being communicated properly, and that it is what it is, and that everything you then do and add on to it is integral to that life, this sort of new being that this has become. And that's what City Museum has become. It's become just a dynamic center of creativity, from the sculptures to the recycled materials to the people who have been working there. We have a lot of artists working there who are doing construction as well as artistic work. We've got a lot of students who've learned everything from, running conduit to cleaning off old terracotta to just any number of things. And the staff has been a real fun part of it.
These little towns.
or locally 436-7900, and we'll take your call in a moment. Hail to the chief and everyone standing. The lady
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
The crowd is clapping, but we do not yet see President Clinton. People standing on chairs to get a glimpse at him. The President is wearing a good blue suit today with a white shirt and dark ties. There he is. President Clinton waving to the crowd. Governor Carnahan behind him. City Mayor Harmon. The President takes the stage. He's in the hot lights now. The President is smiling. This is his type of thing, where he can say a program is working to get people off welfare rolls.
What's the target date?
October 23rd is what I keep hearing.
What's your best guess? Gonna make it?
I think we'll have it done to open, and I think we're going to be working on projects for the next umpteen years. Like, maybe this place will never be finished.
It's either a depressing thought or an exciting thought.
I think it's an exciting thought.
I think so too.
If there's enough creative energy and will on the parts of Bob and Gail to keep creating things,
That keeps it from being like a generic place. Because I guess part of our discipline is to build everything out of found objects. And so we've got kind of we actually developed something of a system where we get lots of almost anything you can do something with. And I guess the approach is I remember the first thing I built when I was a kid was a treehouse. And we went around and we found things, up and down the creek, we found boards and stuff. So I figured, well, if we're going to make this place, what we need to do is approach it like you would as a child, and say, okay, let's go find some stuff and build a thing out of that. And so we've basically done that. And our approach is, you can buy it in a catalog or buy it in a store. We don't want it. We want to find it. And it might not make any sense, but that's what we're doing. And
how many different kinds of found objects have gone into the making of City Museum, do you think?
I don't know. All I know is we started with this thing to get rid of a lot of them, and now we got more than we started with. And we got a 60,000 square foot floor full of potential things to use. But you can't just find one object and use it. You got to have 100 of them so you can pick the right one, or else you can end up with something that looks like a flea market. And so, in a way, you're always risking falling on your face because you're using things that are not normally used, and you're doing things that aren't traditional. So you can't tell if you're being in good taste or not.
Typically, people think that Bob and I are a great team, or they describe us as being a phenomenal team for a couple reasons. One being that he loves to start things, and second being that I can't stand not to finish something. So I typically am the finisher, and he's the starter. He'll be 90% into something and just absolutely lose interest. And at that point, I'm fully involved, and I'm very interested, and I can't stand it not to be finished, so I finish. And it gives him the liberty of going off and starting something new. It gives me the satisfaction of seeing something to completion. So that's an obvious compliment.
I'm all right. Put a rope around that eye bolt and pull from here. That helps. Stand up. All right, here it comes. Wiggle your feet, Bob. Get the dance in. There you go. Are you straight up and down? All right. Over this way now. Over this way. Over this way. Over this way. Ho, 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 ho. Push your back, Bob. All right, you're in.
Looks great from here.
It's beautiful. Bring it out 2 feet.
I'd like to get in this tank here.
Anything coming out? Here it comes. Here it comes.
Well, the world's largest windmill, or let's say most parts of, literally wound up in the museum while I was sleeping. I came in one day, or apparently I hadn't been in the space for 2 days, which is a big mistake in my position. I should really go in several times a day. Anyway, I came in, I walked up to the 3rd floor of the building, and I noticed one of the large windows was gone. It was just gone, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. The window's gone. And I turned around and saw this monstrous collection of these just gigantic, dirty, big, oily hunks of machinery. And I don't think I screamed, I sort of just gasped, because this was the area we supposedly were cleaning up. So I found out that these things were parts of this world's largest windmill that was made by NASA back in the 70s, I believe. A friend of ours, Dean Pruitt, because this windmill was not serving their needs or functioning properly, he went down and procured the rights to take this windmill down. He and Bob are friends, cohorts in crime, shall we say, and they decided that this, in fact, would be a phenomenal thing to reconstruct in some way, shape, or form in City Museum, and to be kind of the guts of this great mechanical wonder world that they were going to put together, which I still don't know what it would look like. But and again, it's one of those things where I say, well, what are we going to do with this? And Bob says, well, it's free. And not only is it free, it's here. It's in the building. So I kind of, throw up my hands in despair and go on to the next thing.
Piece of this is broken. Doesn't make that much difference. It almost fit on top of that pile of rocks that you got.
That's a good idea. There's a big stone block. It's a block head out of red terracotta. We want to pull it out of Bruce's space and put it up there so what it looks like.
About 18 months ago, we started working pretty much full speed ahead on what we thought was going to then be primarily a children's museum. We no sooner started building out exhibits like caves and bowhead whales and things for children that the next thing I knew, Bob was saying, well, let's put up some architectural facades for entranceways and over doorways, and let's just use these cool materials, which are stored and salvaged and great quality materials, and let's incorporate them into the building of this children's museum. And I said, well, sure, cool, that's neat. And we have a very good friend, Bruce Jerry, from After the Paint, who's collected architectural salvage and sold and warehoused it for probably for decades. So they have a great brotherly relationship, and we started talking about it and decided that we should maybe make this architectural thing a real big scale component about this museum. So thus we started to say, well, gee, if we do that, maybe it really isn't just a children's museum anymore. So we extended the concept of who this museum was for, was basically to reach out to everybody, that there'd be something for everybody, from say 1 to 100. And as we've worked over the last 18 months, we've erected any number of architectural facades throughout the whole 3-floor area. And we're documenting the history of that and basically just bringing life back to these things. And that's taken on a very significant role in the museum. And as well, to the point that there's also 5,000 square feet designated as the St. Louis Architectural Museum, where we have small-scale exhibits of primarily St. Louis architectural memorabilia, as well as other things.
Go ahead.
Вот я сделал стык. Отлично, Константин. Лежит? Так, лежит, да. Лежит. Все, вот так сказать. Отлично.
Putting the dinosaur together. Isn't it amazing?
Одно вряд ли. Вот уже прогресс. Где?
Уже прогресс Шива.
Шива там дальше уплотили. Звук-то записывается?
Да.
Прогресс, ночь.
Говорите о Шиве.
Ну-ка. Да, и там тоже как-то оно утерто.
Ну, все равно тут. Нет. Все, еще создам. Такой
Фальшивит. Грудь. Писали. Грудь. А где же все остальное? Здесь. Здесь же написано без.
And that would make people first, they couldn't step up onto it, and they couldn't
Oh,
walk
you mean around it?
on the floor, yeah.
Oh.
And then maybe put, also put some kind of,
Could
area, but also
could they be really right next to it? So if somebody approaches them, the kid can put their hand into there at the
well,
last
we need to put
second.
something like this around it a little bit
That's
more,
what
more
I'm.
glamorous.
So what I'm saying is, then could we then take those springs and make like a square wall, right from on the ground coming up to here,
You mean like a secondary type?
so that
Yeah.
the kid can't get their hand in and go on that.
Then
I just don't want. I don't want them to have any access to getting their hand under there. Why is it so unique?
It's unique because it's recycled, because it came from something else. It's all been recreated. And this old warehouse where shoes used to be manufactured and people have left the city, now all this new stuff is happening. And all this old stuff has been brought back in and recreated into new things, which makes it delightful for every age, for everybody, I think. We probably won't sleep for the rest of the time. We're on 7 days a week now and into the wee hours, so we're working full crew with a lot of volunteer help.
Hey, I heard you're here all night. You still here? Yeah. Okay, now this is one of the guys here. This guy worked all night long. Child furniture place. He's still here. We got all these people coming to the place who have, they're just like coming here and they just do incredible things. It's like bringing people to, I talk about finding gold in the suffering. We found gold in people, like, doing things they didn't know they could do, like myself and my wife do. That push ourselves to see how far we can go, and get a certain type of energy going. Where people are just coming in, volunteering and building things.
It was a Bob thing. He just like, I know what we need to do. He kept staring at it. We need to do this line to follow the curve of this line and make them both just disappear back there. I'll do it. We did the hole and everything. It's really cool visual.
Okay, buddy. It's gonna be quick. That's a buffalo there, no barbels. No, that's buffalo. Actually, this is a big-headed suck type of buffalo. Big-headed suck. There's your dogfish there. Ow, you get me. Woo. Smallmouth. That's a largemouth? Those are all largemouths, yeah. Cover the eyes up, they think it's nighttime a lot of times. Look. Cat, that's the biggest one, too. That's a keeper. Everybody likes the big catfish.
I'm Carolyn Losses, Senior Consultant with Focus St. Louis, and a member of the Board of Directors of the City Museum. And I am so happy to greet you this morning to the opening of this very special place. Thank you so much for coming. 1, 2, 3, go!
Not allowed? You're supposed to go in here.
This place, right? Guys, it's the lizard! Guys, it's the lizard lips! Howdy! What is it? The lizard king! Howdy! Go up through there and we can go to the lizard!
Hey, what happened to you?
I was under there. Adam, down here! Adam! Wait! This way! Let's go! Adam, which way you going? Yeah, what is that?
Did you guys ever see anything like this before?
No. Never. Whoa, Ben, look at that. Oh, look at that guy's head. Look at Look at that guy's. Look at the head of that thing. Look at that. What's that thing? It's a little thing.
This is the world's largest windmill. It was built in 1972 by the Carter administration during the energy crisis. It has now been reconverted. A single man took it down and rebuilt it here. The windmill blades were lost in Hurricane Hugo. It now is running by the itty-bitty little motor over there, and it lifts up a 25,000-pound piece of granite on the first floor.
Does it? Does it work? No. Good, stop.
Daddy!
Hi, Flamingo.
Tell me what you think this brings to this part of downtown, this museum.
Well, there's a cave, it's a big fish, and
The Casselys tend to downplay suggestions they have accomplished something significant.
But St. Louis Post-Dispatch columnist Gregory Freeman notes how the Casselys didn't wait for the approval of Civic Progress or some other entity before going ahead with City Museum. He continues, the folks who are trying to revitalize downtown aren't tilting at windmills, and they're not wasting their time. They're pioneers, leading the way toward a future for what is perhaps the most important location of our region. No one ever told this nation's pioneers that their lives would be easy, but this country wouldn't have been what it is today had they not pushed forward. Downtown's pioneers deserve all the support they can get.
Like modern-day Generals Electric, the Casselys are bringing good things back to life, and support would be a fitting reward. But for them, the best reward lies in the simple knowledge that they worked hard and sacrificed.